Few things are as classic as a White Mage in Final Fantasy. Welcome, White Mage, to my 101 Healing PvP guide. In this guide, we're going to talk about pretty much two basic topics. One, kind of a PvP abilities overview, and two, healing tips and tricks. More or less concepts that are different between PvE content and PvP content. So with that, let's go ahead and do this thing. I feel the easiest place to start is with your 1 damage ability, Stone 3. What's odd to me is that we actually don't see Stone 4, but not splitting hairs, we have Stone 3. It's your one really, potent attack because it's your one attack. It has a damage potency of 1,000, so roughly you're going to be hitting for around 1,000 hit points of damage, but you have an additional effect of heavy plus 50% for 3 seconds. It's that crowd control that can be the difference between life and death for your target. Most likely you're not going to be the one finishing them off, but adding in a little extra damage and then making sure that they cannot get away as easily can be a big difference. If you don't have a warrior, this is a great spell to cast, and at 500 MP cost, it's really not that expensive for the White Mage to be able to fire off several Stone 3s. In the quote-unquote damage arena though, you might consider Fluid Aura that. This ability doesn't have any potency, it's not going to do any damage, but it does do a Tenyang knockback, and it has a bind that's going to last for 3 seconds. I've got a couple of thoughts on that here later on in the video, and I'm going to share them at those points. And with the 20-second recast time, this ability is going to be ready quite often. You can use this for both defense as well as trying to mess and crowd control your opponents, but we'll dive more into that here in a little bit. Since we are a White Mage, our role is a healer, so let's dive into our healing abilities. Namely, Cure, Cure 2, and Regen. First you have Cure. It has a Cure potency of around 2,500, and it's going to add a Lily to your healing gauge. The MP cost of this spell is 250, so it's very cheap and easy to use. Cure 2 on the other hand has a Cure potency of 5,000, but it's going to cost you 1,000 MP. So you're getting double the potency for 4 times the cost of MP. Not necessarily worth it, but it's really good when you do need to heal somebody quickly. This also has the ability to add a Lily to your healing gauge. Regen is going to grant healing over time with a Cure potency of 1,500, and it's going to last for 15 seconds. The MP cost here is 500, so just a little bit more than your normal Cure, but this is also an instant cast. This is a great ability, and when it comes to PvP, there isn't really a reason that anybody that you can target shouldn't have this on them, but just also watch your MP. It's not the most expensive, but it can catch up on you if you're not careful. To help prevent damage, the White Mage brings one ability called Protect. This is going to reduce your target's damage taken by 20%. Difference in PvE is that Protect is an AoE ability that's going to last for 30 minutes. Here it is just a single target ability that's going to last for 10 seconds. This will also use your lilies, and depending on how many you have, depends on its recast reduction. So 1 lily being 10%, 2 lilies being 25%, and 3 lilies being 50%. So if you have 3 lilies, you can actually use this every 20 seconds. So it's definitely dramatically reduces that cooldown time. Speaking of shielding, White Mage also has Divine Benson. This is going to create a barrier around the target that's going to absorb damage totaling 25% of the target's maximum HP. This is also going to last for 10 seconds. The same reduction depending on the number of lilies applies here. 1 lily 10%, 2 25, and 3 50%. The recast time here is 20 seconds, so doing a 50% reduction on the recast is huge. That means you can use this ability every 10 seconds. It can stay up forever depending on how many lilies you have. And 25% of your target's maximum HP is quite large. This is the equivalent of somewhere between Cure and Cure 2 degrees of potency. And also this does stack with Protect, so you could have a huge amount of damage mitigation applied to one specific target if needed. A Size is going to heal your own HP and the HP of all nearby party members with a Cure potency of 1,500. This is also going to restore upon you 2,500 MP. And your recast time for a Size is going to be based off of how many lilies you have. 1 10%, 2 25%, and 3 50%. The recast time here is 60 seconds, even though it's an instacast ability. That 50% is going to make this huge. Giving you this ability every 30 seconds is a big game changer personally. And finally, you have Benediction. This is going to restore all your target's HP, and your recast time is reduced depending on the number of abilities. 1, 10, 2, 25, and 3, 50%. The recast time here is huge at 120 seconds. So 50% and getting this on the 60-second recast is quite substantial. The fact that it heals for all your target's HP is huge and should not be missed. The difference here and the challenge here is going to be when to use it, because 120 seconds recast is a long time, but at the end of the day, it could be the difference between winning the game and just coming in either second or third place depending on the mode. And this brings me to my tips and tricks section for the White Mage in PvP. PvP is about predicting the future as much as possible. It's about reaction speed, and things can happen really fast. It's because of this I hope you find the following tips helpful, whether you go into Feast, Frontlines, or Rival Wings. Healing in PvP, the first tip and difference from PvE is that there isn't anything wrong with pre-curing or over-curing here. Especially with a lower cost of regen, if nothing else, a simple rule of thumb, if you're not going to be needed for attacking or healing, you can always regen dot your party or even your alliance members. Again, it's about trying to pick and prevent as much damage as possible. Now, as a healer, you're not always going to need to heal, but you do have some crowd control that you can use to kind of really mess with your opponents. Fluid Aura being one of them, and I hinted at this in the abilities section. With the bind, feel free to use this to knock back your enemies from their target. This could be anybody on your team or any kind of PvE element in which they're trying to attack. This is especially important for melee type jobs because they're going to be out of range and not going to be able to do any damage for at least 3 more seconds, plus the amount of time that they have to run back. If you find that you're in an area where you can knock somebody off a ledge, this could also equal an insta-kill for you. And being that it's at a 20-second recast time, this should most likely always be up and ready for you. Now, you can't do this to the same or multiple targets over and over again, thus the 20-second recast, but it's really important. You could almost consider Fluid Aura your most damaging ability if you're able to get those push-off insta-kills, but that takes a little practice. This next tip I say every time I'm talking about PvP and healing. Don't line of sight yourself to others, and also if you're not a healer and you're watching this video, don't line of sight yourself to your healer. Anytime that you run out of range or anytime you run behind something and your healer cannot get to you, well, they cannot heal you through walls. This is especially important for positionals from a healing perspective, to kind of be aware of your battlefield and your surroundings. But just be careful. It's going to happen to the best of us. You can use this to help mitigate damage, but you can also use this to stop somebody from healing you. So just be very careful. This is why I always say you should mark the healers. That way you can have a clear visibility to where they are on the battlefield. If no one is marking, mark yourself. That way you can easily stand out and say, hey, I'm over here. Because in the chaos of any kind of battle, sometimes it's easy not to see you. Sometimes, we're not looking for the particular gear or the name. And seeing a giant X or triangle can be all the difference in where we need to position ourselves and where we need to go back to. As a healer, stick with the group. Your damage output's not going to be anything that you're going to win any one on at least 2 battles. I could see a 1v1 playing out in your favor. It just depends on what is going on, but if anybody else joins in against you, you're going to be easily overwhelmed because you cannot burn people down fast enough. So stick with a buddy and make sure you mark what target you should be attacking. Your heavy and your stone are going to add up. You can do some binding to kind of help affect their gameplay output, especially if they're melee and you're both ranged. But don't expect any giant hits here. And finally, if anybody is getting attacked, use your Protect, use your Divine Benson. This is going to be a lifesaver. Your best bet is to do a lot of pre-curing. If somebody is getting overwhelmed, use your Benediction. There's no real reason to save it. There's no type of moment where you say, I know I need to use this ability at this point. Now with Benediction, it's always going to be a give and take, because the question is that are you healing them? Are you keeping them alive? And by the time you feel you should have used Benediction, it's usually when they've died. And so, again, like I said at the beginning, you kind of have to try to be kind of a prophet here. You got to try to predict the future as much as possible when it comes to this type of content. You can't immediately know that this player is going to go down to a certain mechanic that is being brought on by the opposing team. I wouldn't use this on anybody who, there's just no way you can save. if you're going up against an entire raid and it's just you and one other person and they get drawn in and you're running away. Like, you can try to use it, but most likely you're going to burn it in that case. Just do your best to predict when's the right time to use it. If you find that you don't use it within any kind of PvP match at all, maybe we need to switch it up and make sure that you're using it just needlessly until you get a very good comfort level with its recast time. Using it with 3 lilies is going to be a huge help. Going from 120 seconds to 60 seconds is going to be a huge difference, because if you think of any kind of content lasting from 15 minutes to 30 minutes, that could be the difference between 15 and 30 times that you could fire this ability off. And finally, if you're a controller player, you're going to need to work a little harder on your target filters, especially like in Frontlines and Rival Wings where you have a lot of things going on. It's advisable that you set an alliance only filter, that if in and when needed you can make sure that you're able to target all of your alliance members. Using L bumper and then the D-pad to kind of cycle through your alliance members can work, but sometimes in the heat of battle you can find yourself not targeting the right person. It can be kind of frustrating, so I'd recommend being able to easily switch over to an alliance only filter. You can do this, and I'm showing you on screen right now how to make this happen, but it's very important because it's about trying not just to heal your group, especially sometimes in other groups they might not have a healer, and you could be the difference in saving their entire team. But with that, I wish you luck. I personally enjoy PvP. White Mage feels like a real solid and powerful healer in PvP because you do have that hot ability. Pre-curing and pre-dotting is one of the ways that I go about whenever I play as a White Mage, and having Divine Vincent and Protect is a great way to help reduce and kind of mitigate damage coming to your target. But healing in PvP and healing in PvE are not easy, and they can be stressful. If you find yourself stressed out while playing any type of game mode on a healing job, I recommend maybe evaluating that feeling. I hope you enjoy healing. Personally, I really find it very rewarding and challenging in Final Fantasy XIV. But I don't want to encourage you to do anything that's making you uncomfortable or stressed out, because that is not the point of this game. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Brian, and this is Work to Game. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I hope to see you in my next video. But until then, I hope you have a great week. Take care.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Brian, you think there's anywhere they could catch us in the meantime?
Right now, Chris, we're probably on Twitch. If it's probably in the afternoon, it could be you. Sometimes you see my face. And we also found this random guy, named Kevin on the street somewhere.
I accidentally left my password written on the side of my car.
Oh man, that was really a big mistake. But guys, we really appreciate it if you guys hit the link in the description below for our Twitch page. We'd love to see you over there. And you can even subscribe to us over on Twitch.
If you're Amazon Prime, that could even be free.
Oh my gosh, what a deal.
Well, cool. Well, thanks guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.